here with us, the pioneer chief dentist in Ogun State, talking about Otumba Dr. Samuel Ayinde Jayola Ibikule. Otumba Ibikule, you're welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you.
And of course, we also have a one-time head of service in Ogun State, surveyor Godwin Olatunji Ogun. You're welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you very much.
Sound mind?
Somebody.
On that note, we want to welcome you and we want to tell you that happy celebration.
Thank you very much.
We are very happy to witness the 45th anniversary of the creation of the state.
Sure.
You're welcome.
Really very happy.
Thank you, sir. Otumba Ibikule, you were the pioneer dentist in Ogun State.
Chief dentist.
Chief dentist in Ogun State. What was it like, the health sector in Ogun State, when Ogun State was created? What was it like?
Well, I was pioneer in dental surgery, but I was pioneer in the Ministry of Health. I was pioneer in sports. I was pioneer in several things. So, but to limit myself to the area of health, when we, before we came here in 1976, there were only 2 dental centers in Ogun State, and those were the dental centers in Abia and Ijebu-Ode. And they were very small units of surgery at the time. And there was only one dentist in the whole state at the time. So when I came, I joined that very young man there. He was a very, very good man. And the 2 of us were running the dental services. And my headache at the time, of course, that was before April 1. That was before April 1, because as soon as we knew we were coming here and we came, before April 1, I had strategized what I was going to do. In fact, I had heard that he was leaving. He was going to the University of Ibadan, and I was coming indirectly too from the University of Ibadan, in the sense that I was the one planning the dental school for the University of Ibadan. We had gone a very long way, acquired the Ajike Memorial Maternity Center. We already ordering equipment to do series of things there. So in a way, I felt, well, when he goes, I'll have to replace him and someone else to take over. So we expanded the dental units that we had, and then we started building dental units in Shagamu and Ilaro. And then, of course, we started planning that after those 2, we now go to OGHA. We go to ADEYEMI, and there was another place, Ayetoro. So we are planning all that. Now, in the area of hospitals development, we have started thinking of a bigger unit of hospital than the hospital we met in DEJI. It was a very, very small unit at that time. So fortunately for us, we had a highly distinguished Nigerian as our boss. That was Dr. Adedoyin. He was an obstetrician and gynecologist. And we worked so closely together to develop not only the state hospital Ijaye, but also a new state hospital in Abia. In fact, I don't want to say too loudly that it was he and I that really briefed the architects on what it should be. And so we started, in many ways, we started the state hospital, building the state hospital in Abia, that we later transferred to the Federal Ministry of Health as the Federal Medical Center. And by the time we were going to do that, I was the head of health for Abia. So I started the building and I transferred it to the federal government. But let me tell you something. I was thinking that it would have been better to transfer Ijaye to them, because federal had plenty of money they could put in more money to Ogun State. But I think they too prefer going to a fresh area where they will not have to pull down buildings and all that. So that's in the area of but perhaps we'll come to sports later. Yes, we'll come to sports later. Yes, okay.
But you were one of the pioneer members that moved from Ibadan.
That's true.
To Ogun State. So what was it like moving? We know that moving from a old building to a new building, you will lose some things, you will not have some things in place. Was it cumbersome for you starting the civil service in Ogun State then?
Moving from old building to a new building.
I was writing a scenario. What was it like starting a civil service for Ogun State then?
Well, if you paint a picture of somebody coming from a well-developed area, you know, in the western state, coming to a newly created state like Ogun State. Well, I'm a surveyor. I'm still a surveyor, and we knew that we're up for a road deal when it comes to development, when it comes to establishing many, getting things in place, you know. Surveying is more or less the bedrock of all land-related development. And before any other thing whatsoever, before you do any other thing, most of all, carry out the survey of the land, you know. And so we are out for a road deal. We have to carry out make a map of Ogun State to start with. Not only that, then divide that map into various divisions. You know, like we have, at that time, we have Remo Division, Jobu Division, Egba Division, and what we used to call Ilaro Division. You know. Or no,
we used to call it Egbado Division.
Egbado Division, yes. It used to be Egbado Division, but later on now known as Yewa Division. So we knew we had quite a lot to do, you know, and it was more or less as a challenge to us. And well, somebody that is coming from a place where hard work is well known with us, you know. So we were actually looking forward seriously at that time for what we are going to do in Ogun State, turning Ogun State around, you know, as much as possible. Because surveying, as we know, is more or less the bedrock of all development. Planning for housing, planning for all industrial development, commercial development, housing development, and various other things, you know, that we actually have in Ogun State. So it's so exciting to us, you know, very, very exciting, and we saw it as an opportunity to really did a bit, you know, so that people can actually know what has been done, you know.
About which one was the first building your team built when Ogun State was created? Aside the ones you met, those buildings you met, you were managing.
Okay.
Which one was the first one you built? And
the concentration was on building the what we call the secretariat complex. We call it mini secretariat to start with, where the workers will be working, you know. That was the concentration, you know, at that time. And it was built. We carried out the survey, and the Minister of Works actually did the building, you know. Exactly, for the staff.
Surveyor,
and then of course,
let me also start with you. As a surveyor, definitely you must know most of these things. What was it like? Because a new state must develop.
Exactly.
And it must develop, very well from the capital. Capital must
That's
look
true.
like something, I mean, close to the state capital, so to say.
That's true.
And you know what it used to be before the
Yes.
state was
That's
created.
true.
So what was it like to actually get the cooperation of the people of the state capital? You know, you have you need land.
It's okay.
To explain to them.
It's okay.
What was it like then? And what was the excitement like and the cooperation of the people?
In fact, immediately Ogun State was actually created. Right from the beginning, people were very, very happy that Abeokuta was made the capital of Ogun State at that time. And at that time, people actually wanted development. They wanted development for, well, Abeokuta was more or less, let's say, a small village, just like a village. The roads were not there, the buildings were not up to date, you know, more or less looking like a village that we actually have now, you know. Without that, then of course it was easy for people to actually donate their land, and then we were actually helped by the promulgation of the land use decree. You know, the land use decree actually stipulates that land has to be held in trust for the people. So this makes it easy for us to acquire land and get things started, you know. And development actually commenced, you know. Like for example, trying to really create a kind of map for the secretariat complex that was to be in place, just as we have now, you know. It's been developed in a gradual manner right from then up to now. It's still developing, you know. We have a master plan for the secretariat complex to carry out the survey of the secretariat complex, and we did the planning. Planning was already done by the Bureau of Land Survey and Town Planning at that time, where I was, you know. And, well, everything started just like that, you know, building of roads. And in fact, hardly can anything actually happen without us carrying out a more or less survey of the whole thing.
All right.
Which planners were used.
Otumba, it gladdens my heart that with over 20-something years of experience in sports reportage, I'm just learning from you that we are also part of the sports development in Ogun State, and I'm very happy to note that this morning. So because looking at the history of Ogun State was created in 1976. And in 1977, we attended the first National Sports Festival, where we did well, placing 8th out of 19 states. If you look at the fact that it's a new state, that was not a bad result at all. How did we hit the ground running as far as sports development is concerned? And where did we belong?
Well, as I was saying before this program started with my brother's surveyor, there were alternatives to my coming to Ogun State. As I said earlier on, I was already involved in developing the dental school in Ibadan. I'd even gone as far as designing with the architects a 8th-floor dental school and all that. We've gone very, very, very far. But I was also lucky that I was posted to Abeokuta in 1970 when I came back from my postgraduate studies in United Kingdom. So I was in Abeokuta up to October 1972. I was posted to Ibadan. Then I came back here. So when I was coming back, I knew what I was coming to. As a sports person, I was involved in the development of the Abia Sports Club. In fact, that was almost dead at the time. I got the swimming pool working as the secretary, and we reintroduced motor racing and all that. I'm trying to say that we were already thinking of sports, even at that time. So when we came in 1976, and I was appointed chairman of the council. In fact, I was told by the head of service at that time that they were. I was sports council. Oh yes, sports council. Oh, I was the first chairman of the sports council. I was told by the head of the secretary to the government that I was to be the commissioner for sports, but as a civil servant, they couldn't refer to me as a commissioner. So that's you are the chairman, so you are the one in charge. If everything goes right, it's okay. If everything also goes right, it's going to be your fault and all that. So what I'm trying to say is that we met. I knew what was available in Ogun State when we came in 1976, and the first thing that happened that I was appointed before anything happened, I was announced to be the chairman of the Ogun State Cricket Association. So I was already functioning in a way like that. Then they said I must be the chairman. So, that was hard job, very hard work. We were able to come 8th in the 1977 Kaduna Sports Festival due to the hard work of so many people. I don't know if you understand, 45 years ago, I wasn't a young man. I wasn't too young at that time too, but I've forgotten names. But there are names that I cannot forget. Names like Justice Demola Bakre, who was a member of the council. Names like Chief Olafimiho, who was also a member of the council. Names like Olu Shoboale from Remo, who was a member of the sports council. And so many other names I may not be able to. And we worked like we are from the same family. And of course, as chairman, you really have to be everywhere. You have to be everywhere. Now, the Ashero Stadium was not built. There was no Ashero Stadium. We built the Ashero Stadium. In fact, I was told that no one could build Ashero Stadium, that they had implanted some juju there, and it was not possible. So I said, well, if it's juju, I'll use my own juju to remove it. So I went there and I prayed in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, and that juju was gone. And we were able to build that stadium, but not before the sports festival. So what we used to do was to take our people to Lagos. You can't believe it. We take our sports boys and girls all the way to Lagos to run on the tracks there and all that. Because of lack of facilities. Because of lack of facilities. So it was, all these members have told you, all of us, we are not just members, we are active participants. And everyone took charge. Like I remember Mr. Olafimiho, Chief Olafimiho took charge of athletics. I was also involved. I was involved in a number of them. Justice Bakre took charge of lawn tennis. And we were all working to achieve success. And I said, as chairman, Ogun State must come first in the sports festival. Of course, I know I was deceiving myself. There was no way we could beat Lagos or beat Bender State that had everything. So, but we did. And we were taking our people to Lagos and other areas to practice on tartan tracks and all that. There's a lot of story to that. When I can complete my work on what I'm trying to put down, like my brother has done, I think you'll hear more about the activities at that time.
Okay, before we go, how many people were recruited then to form Ogun State, their main officers? How many were brought from the old Western State to start Ogun State? Can you remember? Number.
I don't think any of us can. Well, you see, the thing is this, they knew those of us who are from Ogun State. And all of us had to leave. We actually had to leave. Okay. And I want you to believe that. And I'm not going to say too much about that, because you drove your car to the secretariat in Ibadan. Because my car was WG 875. That has, I remember things like that. So that was from February 3rd that they announced it, until February 1 that we came here. We still had to function in Ibadan as well. I had to run my clinic in Ibadan. I had to do so many things. So there was no way we could go to the secretariat. They said, and all that. Of course, we have our own home, and our home is Ogun State, so we have a place to go
How
to.
many ministries did you start with?
Pardon?
Ministries. How many government ministries?
Ministries?
Yes.
I cannot give you a direct number, but I can start naming what's a number. Okay. But there are more ministries today than that time. The number of permanent secretaries was probably under 12 at that time.
You were once the head of service here in Ogun State, and of course, definitely you've been following the foundation laid by the founding fathers of the state. So, of course, you're still alive now. You know how the civil service is. How you want to say, or what do you think we should actually improve on at 45?
Well, at 45, actually I was first surveyor general of the state. Then from there I was promoted to director general, permanent secretary, and head of service. Now, there have been quite a lot of things on the ground, and the way we're actually working in those days, people are committed to their work. There are a lot of rules and regulations people are actually following. Rules and regulations for the service, the GO, and all the rest of them. And the issue of isolating civil servants from politics. Civil servants are not allowed to practice politics. When it comes to politics, civil servants actually recline, go to the back seat, and leave politics to politicians. So that, unlike what we have now, when there is tendency for civil servants, for politicians to politicize the civil service, it wasn't so in those. We were insulated, completely insulated from politics, and nobody actually was dabbling in it, you know. And but now I think they are beginning to politicize the civil service. Isolation is not total, you know, anymore. And so civil servants were actually running away from politicians. But the more they run away, the more politicians actually follow them. They want to drag them into politics as much as possible.
All right.
I think so far so good. Well, all subsequent areas of service have actually tried to emphasize this to the civil servants generally. That they have to remain civil servants. They are more or less to serve the government of the day. You know, help them in implementing whatever policies they bring up. You know, so that as much as possible, they are, well, though we are drawn into the ears of everybody, that we must stand out of politics.
All right, we could go on and on, but because of our time, we want to thank this elder statesmen once again who have found time to be part of our program, the pioneer chief dentist in Ogun State, and also a sports enthusiast and the first chairman of the Ogun State Sports Council in 1976. He led the team to the first National Sports Festival in 1977 in Kaduna, where we placed it. That information I'm happy to have gotten this morning. Otumba, Dr. Samuel Ayinde, thank you very much for coming to the program. And of course, sound mind, sound body. Somebody. Always sound anywhere. And of course, still taking exercise very serious. The former head of service in Ogun State, Surveyor Godwin Olatunji. Well, we thank you also for coming to the program. Of course, it's still on the celebration mode, talking about Ogun State at 45, strides and development. We'll take a break. We'll still be back.
Ogun State was created on the 3rd of February 1976 by the Muritala Mohammed Olusegun Obasanjo military administration.
We then said, okay, let us carve out Ijebu province, Abeokuta province, then let's put them together. That became the reason to form what today is known as Ogun State.
As part of the activities lined up to celebrate Ogun State at 45,